Thank you, George, for that great introduction. I'm really excited to be in Vegas a day before my 40th birthday. I'm thrilled to be here to talk to all of you guys and relate about my own experiences with social commerce as we've, for the past 2.5 years that at Guitar Center, I've been spending a lot of time looking at how we can improve our conversions and make more money, basically, using social methods. And I'm very excited to show you some of these things. How many of you, use reviews before you buy products? I think I counted like 0 people who don't use reviews. I use reviews even to, buy toilet paper. I want to make sure it's a selected size. It's the perfect thing that's going to absolutely grab everything. So everything, everywhere you go, customers want to actually essentially find out like what's the best product to buy before you finally put your money on the table and say, here, ship it to me. And so we'll talk a little bit about how you can use that to market your consumers' voice and help that make more money. And I think since the question I have is like, how many of you already have reviews on your site? So not everyone has reviews on their site? How many don't have reviews on their site? Wow, I'm impressed. This would be very interesting then for the 2 of you here in the front. Because I assume that everyone had a review platform in 2012, but if you don't, well, this would be great. And for the rest of you, it's about picking the right review platform that's really going to help you in ways that it helped my company. I think I have the clickers here. So what we did is our story was about 1.5 years ago. We went about and we had, through acquisitions, over the 10 years, Guitar Center's acquired a company called MusiciansFriend.com, which is an online-only catalog retailer. We've acquired Music and Arts. We've acquired Woodman and Brassman, which is kind of about like the school band and orchestra sort of place, and Music 123, which is more towards younger generation sort of customers. And so we've got 5 e-commerce brands that we're selling musical instruments through. We're a $2 billion company headquartered in Westlake Village, California. It's very nice and warm out there compared to here. And so we've been doing this. And of course, we all had this homegrown sort of reviews platform. And I kept saying, like, this is not the right solution. And people are like, well, we already have something that works. Customers are happy to give us their opinion. And I'm like, wow, but we make it the hardest thing on earth to get this going, and we've got to get a better solution. And so I went through this massive process to figure out like which solution is going to actually work for us. And so the top of the heap were a couple of companies, Power Reviews and Bazaar Voice. And so I went through, understanding. Actually, last year at this conference, I talked to Josh Bright from Travelocity. I'm not sure if he's here today. And I called him and said, here's what I'm struggling with. What's your experience been? And so Josh said, hey, essentially, we've had Bazaar Voice forever. It doesn't increase our sales. It doesn't essentially, we spend a lot of money on consulting services, and it's blah. And so I'm like, well, that just proves my point that Power Reviews is the way to go. So after all that, a year's worth of research, I finally got the agreement signed. We got that done. 2 weeks after I do that, Bazaar Voice acquires Power Reviews. So now I'm with the devil, but they're not that bad. Together, they've actually made an even more, more interesting platform. I had a preview of it last week, and it's a very exciting platform. It gets even further than what we've done, and I'll show you some slides that sort of talk about it. But the key being like how you can use this exciting reviews platform, pick the right one, and really, really, maybe even convince I'm sure all of you, most of you, have a platform. I'm trying to convince you to pick the right one so that you can actually make more money like we did. So this is, just to go through the steps as to how we do it. After you buy something, 14 days post-purchase, after we ship it, we actually send an email out to customers saying, hey, Kirit, you bought this keyboard bench from us. What about writing a review? And we don't, give you any financial incentive or anything. We just say, from the goodness of your heart, please write us a review. And in case you want some other, there's a few other offerings if they just, some ad space in there too. And so then you click on that review. What the innovation I did in our company was what happens at that point is essentially people have to start logging in, and then of course you don't remember your login, and what you bought and all that stuff. So I made it such that the link was an auto login if you came through that email, and you went straight to the review form, which I'll show you the numbers. It has really helped us increase our review writing rate. And so you get this review link, and then you of course, as you can see on the picture here, you can write the pros, cons, and best uses, and of course you can write your own personal comments as to how, what you think of this product. And then you can say in the end, do you recommend someone buy it or not buy it, right? Of course, the social aspect of it is you can create a nickname, you can tell them where you're from, you can actually connect your Facebook profile to that, and more interestingly, add images and even videos. So you can connect a YouTube video to that, and you essentially make it very, very personal. You can add many images and videos. And so we've had customers do exactly that, go out and attach great images and videos, and that's pretty interesting. You can also tag it so that people, if you're looking for a specific feature, so for a keyboard bench that I was buying for my son, I want to make sure it was height adjustable. I could essentially search in there, height adjustable, and then you can find the reviews that talk about that feature. It was pretty interesting. It's been very helpful for our customers. And so you write the review, then it goes through this moderation process where our team we have in Salt Lake City goes out and reviews it. So with this platform that we bought, in our own homegrown platform, everything was scanned. We looked at every word. We looked at what people said about the product, whether they liked it or they didn't like it. If they had a high review rating, had a high rate of being published, or if it was a 1-star rating, we'd try to find a way to not publish it. We did some sneaky things like that in the past, which is I'm glad to say we're not doing that anymore. But this solution actually comes with this review moderation service. So pretty much they've got the smart computers that are figuring out what should be all the keywords that are clearly the expletives and all that stuff gets taken out. Any words that are you need to pay attention to, that's all done. And then they follow our approval policy, and then our guys just do a quick check at the end, hey, is this still copacetic with our brand image, and before they publish it. And of course, after the person writes the review, they go ahead and they can actually connect it to figure out if we can share it socially. And a lot of people are doing it. It's we essentially get this box and say, here, we want to share it to Twitter or Facebook, and here's an example of how you're doing that. And people are posting their reviews that they just wrote over to their friends. And so this is me at some point, a month after we launched, we started seeing how is it actually, are people actually doing it? And very quickly we saw I was getting about 4,000 reviews a month, and within a month about 419 people did share it socially on Facebook. So it's a pretty significant amount of people who are sharing it socially. So your audience is bigger than just the people on your website. This is me writing that review. Of course, you can also tweet it out. I haven't tweeted out a lot. I don't know if a lot of you tweet out reviews, but it's a little, well, some people do it. And so here you have your published review, and so this is the whole product detail page on the left, and then the specific section around the review section where you'll see the most liked positive review and the most liked negative review, and then of course the reverse chronological, all the reviews right there, which is great. Which is, you can see the best versus worst, what do people think? What's the best thing? What do people find great about it? What do people find negative? And you can quickly assess that, because when I go to a site, that's what I look for. Even any of the sites, if I go to Amazon, I look for the same thing. What do people actually? I actually usually look for what do people not like about it. So I use the star ratings to figure out, I only want something that's 4 or 5 stars, and once I'm there, what's that little thing that annoyed people to not give them the 5 stars, and if that doesn't annoy me, it's good enough to buy. That's how I think of things, and I think that's how consumers are looking at it as well. So here you've got reviews. Our flaw, which we're fixing in the next few weeks, is that reviews was in a tab, so as you perused through the product page, you didn't just look at the review section at all unless you clicked on the reviews tab, and so it's kind of hidden, and that's the bad design experience for users. So we're changing that in February next month. Of course, large company move a little slower. And so here's my published review, and here you can see I've got the pros, cons, best uses. They give you some suggested words if based on other people's reviews, if this product has reviews in the past. And then I wrote my review, and then I actually attached pictures of, this is my son with his brand new keyboard and keyboard stand. The first time I published it, it actually got rejected. They said, well, we don't know if the kid in the picture actually approves it. So I'm like, no, it's my son. I work here. I know it's cool. So I had to convince them that, So as I went through this experience, I found a lot of interesting things, like how our content moderation policy was really affecting our numbers. The other great thing about this solution is the SEO benefit, right? So this is stuff that we didn't do in the past, and I don't know how many of you are doing this. So essentially exposing your review content in the page so that crawlers can get to that, and it's fresh every time they come, they see it. So it's like as new reviews get written, they see more of that. And you'll see that this is actually where search engine crawlers will come, and you can now see this is me actually writing, trying to prove the point where, remember the review I wrote earlier, this is my son with this keyboard stand. My son was 4 at the time, and I started saying this is a great keyboard bench for my son. And so it's good for a 4-year-old. And then I said, let me see if this SEO thing really works. And I started search for keyboard stand, bench, 4-year-old, and right there, very high up on in the SEO rankings, is my review, which I think is very compelling. So why do I say that it's very compelling? Before we launched with Power Reviews, Bazaar Wars, how much did we get? How many people came in without through SEO? So 65.9, and right after it's 67. Of course, with seasonality and those kinds of factors, things can change a little bit. As the summer progresses, we make more sales. So this could be a factor, but I could see clearly. There's other things we were doing. So, clearly SEO was a benefit that we were getting. So we did see a lift in site visits from just exposing our reviews to SEO. The other thing we can see is, like, remember we talked about that link that sort of auto logs you in? Well, you can see the difference. The green is the people who actually came in. These were people we sent an email to, clicked on a link, and then came in and wrote a review. And that's a much higher percentage of our customers as opposed to people who just come to our site and just decide to write a review about a product. It's a significant lift, so that this email sort of messaging and encouraging people to write reviews really does work. And if you make it easy with the no login sort of policy, even easier. It's just a review, so I mean, how bad can it be? The question I always get is like, what did it do for us financially? So as you see, this chart is actually a seasonality chart, right? You see it going up through the months, and then towards the holiday months, you see we got a ton more reviews because, of course, we sell a lot more product. And then we usually get the dip again. You see the third part of the chart actually showing you the dip. So we're getting the seasonality. So every holiday we'd get a lift, and we'd go back down. But as soon as I launched this new review platform, we got more reviews, the last bar on the graph on the right, than in the summer. As much as we would get in the holidays. So you can see that making this platform change really, really helped our numbers. So, and reviews, help convert customers. So I mentioned how by going through this experience, I actually figured out how content moderation policy was really affecting our review throughput and of course affecting conversions. So I went back and saw that if you had a 5-star review, there's a great chance of getting approved. If it was a 1-star, it wasn't happening. And so we spent a lot of time through the company trying to figure out, what is our policy, what should or should not be in there. And in the end, pretty much all we decided was that if it mentioned a price, we wouldn't let them have it. Of course, standard expletives and all that stuff also. Aside from that, we just let the customer be. The only thing we can do is reject a review if they mention a price specifically, because we don't want to confuse the customers. Like, hey, this was $100 the other day, and now it's 90, and now it's not 100 again, and you wrote the review when you got it at 90, and we just don't want to have to go through that sort of pain with our vendors and stuff. So we reject only reviews that have a price mentioned in that. Everything else we pretty much let alone. So that has improved. We went from 2,000 reviews a month to 4. So it's been phenomenal. The invites that we send out, the emails that we send out really do influence. You can see the gray bars. You can see the majority of the reviews are coming in through the invites. 55% of them are written by people who received an invite through email. And then the other thing that sort of influences a little bit is review contests. So we do these campaigns every now and then, like, hey, write a review, and you'll get entered in for a chance to win a Gibson Les Paul, Studio Electric. It's a great guitar, and so and that really encourages people. And I think I would do that if I got that offer. So that's another thing that's actually helped a little bit. I mean, this is a big chart. I know it's really hard to see from where you're sitting, but I wanted to point out that you can actually see things such as this product has so much analytics in there. We can actually see like how many people are adding in pros and cons and best uses, and as they write the reviews, and it sort of influences customers as they go through that to quickly sense who wants to read a whole review. They want to scan it. Oh, these are the good words. That's great. In fact, I have a little story. This is an aside, but there's a little app called Arrow, so you can go to tryarrow.com and check this out. And this app basically went through all the reviews that are out there and just siphoned out, like, essentially, let's just say you were looking for a camera. You say, I'm looking for a camera. I care about how high the resolution is, the price, and how light the camera is. I care about this in this order. Just go through all the reviews in the world for all products and find me the right camera. And it just does that. And I did this experiment. I said, what if I go through the reviews myself and figure out what camera I want? And then I use this Try Arrow app, which basically does that for me. And it works. The same exact camera was #1 when I did through this Arrow app. So this is just an aside if you want to try to use that. So this actually does go through that electronically and figures out how pros, cons, and best users are doing it. Another thing that this platform does really well for us is the category and brand review rating. So you can see by category, like, hey, we're just not doing well with T-shirts. People come into our site, they really want to buy musical instruments, and putting a band T-shirt or something, or just maybe one of our branded T-shirts, they don't do as well. So as a category, maybe our vendor has poor T-shirt quality or something, but like maybe that's just not doing well for us. And those are the kinds of sort of category and brand sort of you can see by brand, like just Egnator amps, just they don't do well. People just don't seem to like them. So maybe there's a manufacturing issue or something that we want to sort of cover up. And then we also, you might want to get a little more interesting where like you can see who are your big promoters and who are writing a lot of helpful reviews. So people write reviews, and then of course other people come in and say, yeah, that review was so useful to me. I'm actually going to say it's helpful, and so the helpful count goes up. And so we can actually see who's writing the helpful reviews, and maybe we could actually encourage them potentially with financial incentives, saying, hey, write more reviews, we'll send you your gear just to, I think some companies do that, and we haven't done that ourselves, but that's something we could look at doing, essentially encouraging our promoters to write more reviews, because clearly they're good writers. And then we can see that by top worst reviewed categories, you can see, hey, we just do horrible at I don't know, picks or something. And by brands, we talked about this earlier. So we can also see specific products, and this is pretty interesting. So Guitar Center buys, we have close to 2,000 vendors that we actually buy gear from. There's probably another 10,000 other brands we don't buy from, right? So we can see specifically which brands we buy from, and what are the products. Maybe you're getting some, this is a company that we're buying from, but they're getting something made out of, some overseas country, and that country seems to have some issues with the manufacturing processes, and so, which is a change from when they were making the same product in a different country. I don't know, whatever the reason be. And you can kind of see, hey, the product was doing well, and this particular product is now no longer doing well. Sort of have that conversation with your vendor, saying, hey, there's something to look into here. So this is kind of interesting. As we get into, we have like 80,000 SKUs, so that's a ton of like SKUs. We can't go, looking for like the problematic reviews. So this is like a very easy way to figure out, where should we focus our attention on for manufacturing defects, and what will affect our customers when they buy it. They're going to give us a negative review, so perception goes down, and so it's good to get ahead of the game. And then it gets into like review alerts. So if people are saying like, hey, this thing sort of, actually hurt me, or some, some safety questions, you could essentially isolate. There's certain keywords that sort of, get triggered. So they actually put it in a different bucket for you to make it real easy that this is a safety concern. This brand's going to be affected. You really need to look at these reviews specifically to, so maybe like a brand person can actually focus more on that and, figure out like, here's my key things to go to. It's been pretty interesting for us to figure out like, as a brand safety sort of thing, what to do. And for the really analytical people, there's this analyzer mode, and of course, I've dived a little bit into that. This is this great mode where you can go and specifically make your own reports and say, I want to see just people who post photos or videos, just to see like how does that work out. So you can see like whether your customers are engaged or not. And I've found through this data that something like 18 or 19% of our customers do scan through the review section. So 5% will, 5 or 6% will actually interact. They'll say something like share it or say something's helpful. But like almost a fifth of our customers are scanning through reviews. So this is numbers for you, saying, hey, how is everyone else doing? Here's my number. About a fifth of our customers will look at reviews. It's pretty informative. They go to the section. We have it as a tab, so it's very clear. We can actually measure it really well. They went to the section and say, hey, what is this is people who click on the reviews, link at the top of the screen and scroll down and get to that section. It's not people who just scroll down. We can learn from that from site analysts. We use Omniture from Adobe, so you can tell scroll down sort of percentage. So that's an addition to this. So reviews are pretty important. I was at NRF, the National Retail Federation conference, about a year ago. I spoke there as well. And Sucharita Mulpur from Forrester Research mentioned how the #1 thing that customers look for is pricing. And the #2 thing is product reviews. I mean, this is pretty important. If all the things you do this year, this has got to be like one of the best things you do. Get your reviews thing together. Facebook actions, and we talk a lot about social. We're getting some. It's not a tremendous amount. We're getting some sort of actions, likes and commenting on. As you share it to Facebook, are other people in the audience actually from your friends of friends, are they actually liking and commenting on your posts and reviews? And there's some. Not a tremendous amount, but there's some out there. You can see whether it's helpful, not helpful counts as well. It gets pretty interesting. It's interesting information. And then, of course, you can download it to Excel and analyze it, which is kind of nice for the geeks. What I also found is our product photos were on our product page were cool. You can see this is a great Fender guitar that has a very nice sort of design and look. It's edgy, but look at that. You can see this picture here. Look at the picture that a customer sort of submitted. You can see the richness of the design and how beautiful it is from the customer's photos, much better than our photos. And this is our own issue. I mean, the customers can get very creative. They've got time on their hands. They don't have deadlines like everyone here seems to have. And so this is just helping us help our sell more product without spending a dime on it. It's phenomenal products. You can see that they've contributed. It's very interesting to see like this is going to help you sell more than other stuff. And of course, you can also attach videos. So I looked at some videos last night, and I found this video that's kind of entertaining. Do you want to play it?
Play so pretty. Oh, now we're discovering we can hit it louder.
So it's this is a SKU that's directed towards young kids, and of course now he's learning how to make the drum sound louder. It's going to be fun for the parents. But this can be pretty interesting. I just thought, so now I'm open to questions if you have about this, a specific question that I didn't cover in my presentation.
Can everybody hear me? I was saying that I'm Crystal King from Keurig, and we currently use Power Reviews and Bazaar Voice. And one of the changes that I know that they're planning on making is that they're going to push everything live, and then you can remove the reviews afterwards. Have you guys talked about how that will work for you? Have you?
Well, there's
you know
the
what I'm talking about?
possibility that a price gets out there.
Yeah.
And so we want to sort of, it doesn't take long. It takes like within, 3 hours delay. It's not a big deal in time. So essentially it comes at night, and the next day we essentially go through it and say, here's the level 1 moderation's finished, and here's they came in, and we just go through that in 3 hours, and we're done. And I think that's good enough for us because we're very sensitive to price getting out there. So. But if your brand is not that conscious about pricing information getting out there, if you have pretty stable prices, then it's probably a better solution for you.
Okay. Just wondering how you guys were, if it was something you were worried about or not.
That one thing.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Kirit? Oh, sure. We'll just go here first. Hi, I'm Heather Weaver from magazines.com. We are a Power Reviews customer as well. And so sort of to tag on to that, for your content and community team, how's your team structured? Like what resources are you using to manage your reviews process? And then on top of that, have you found good ways to leverage the content that you're getting from your customers in your more traditional sales channels, whether it's through your email marketing or affiliate programs? Are you finding other ways to use that content?
Mm-hmm. So a couple of points. One is that we had this whole call center our call center has 2 parts. One is the customer service piece, and then the bigger sort of sales calls. So people call in saying, hey, I want to buy this product I saw on either your catalog on the site, they just don't feel comfortable buying it online. So there's a sales part. So we had these guys, and the customer service section of the call center does the product reviews, sort of the level 2 moderation, right? And in terms of my team, essentially we've got people who sort of look at how the product is sort of structured, so that are we using new features. One of the latest features that have come out is like, how it is when you write a review and you can attach photos, you got to upload them today or attach a YouTube video. They make it such that you can connect your Facebook profile to that. And like in our case, bands buy a lot of gear from us. They've got band photos on their Facebook profile. You can just grab them from the Facebook, your folders or your albums, and then grab it and make it as easy as possible. This gear, you're playing your guitar, you're on stage. Wow, that's really compelling. So that's been really great. Another feature that Power Reviews has is to, let's just say a product had like 60 reviews, 5 of them had images, a couple of them had videos attached to that. You can essentially go through and figure out which ones have it and pull them up into sections as, customer-generated photos or videos section. And we haven't pulled them out, something we want to do at some point, but essentially you could highlight your photos, customer-generated photos, a whole new section. So this is like an offshoot benefit of using Power Reviews. And the other thing is, as you said, you could take those photos and videos, we have the cache, you might as well, because it comes to us nightly, we actually have the content. We could use that in email marketing, say, hey, have you considered, Bob bought this great drum set, we have a great deal for you on that, and we could do such a, we haven't gone on that yet.
Yeah, so question, Jeff Hawley from Yamaha, and I'm pretty sure you guys have a Yamaha product or 2 on your website.
We do.
So quick question, we're also, as what seems like with a few people, using Power Reviews, Bazaar Voice. I know one of the things that we looked into the past, maybe a bit of a loaded question now, but is there any interest or anything that you've looked into as far as accepting reviews from our site? If we have reviews of products that obviously you're selling, basically the manufacturer generated reviews, or vice versa, allowing us to accept Guitar Center generated reviews on our site.
Yeah, so this is a great question. There's a couple of things I've been thinking about along, so as we have, as I said, about a couple thousand vendors we actually do business with, I could see us syndicating our specific, Yamaha keyboard review to your site. And I think the way it would work is it actually is a product that Power Reviews offers, where you can say, hey, I want Power Reviews, so the platform is on your site, we can syndicate it. The SEO content only happens on our site, so it's not duplicate content. That's a pretty important piece because we don't want duplicate SEO content and not know which the source is. And then people could actually come on your site and write a review about your specific keyboard or something and have that syndicated back to us. When it goes to from us to you, we have a link, and this review was written on guitarcenter.com or musiciansfriend.com or something. And here's a link to get back and buy that product, which is really great for your sales because it's like direct right there. The customer's on your site, kind of trying to get more information, got the extra information, now can go and just buy it. And it's good for us on our site when we syndicate product reviews written on Yamaha. There's a similar thing I've actually been thinking about is question and answer. So we use a company called Turn2 for question and answer, where you can essentially syndicate, questions that come about a product. We could actually have someone answer on our site and have that syndicated over to Yamaha. And similarly, sort of, come back in Yamaha, someone asks a question, we could have, a customer on Guitar Center pick that question, answer it, send it back with a link back to us saying, hey, buy it on guitarcenter.com, which is pretty interesting. I mean, both Power Reviews and Turn2 have that kind of, capability, which I think is really edgy. It's just like the best thing out there, I think. Actually, this is what I'm going to tackle this year. Thank you. Yeah.
Any other questions for Kirit? Thank you very much. And happy early birthday. We'll have to cheers him later at the cocktail hour. George?